You think you choose what you eat? You don't. Every craving you feel is a biological trap, ruthlessly engineered by scientists to hijack your nervous system. You are a puppet to a multi-billion-dollar algorithm. Watch to the end, because the terrifying truth will permanently shatter your reality. Ryup, listen closely to that sound. It is the crisp, fragile tearing of the golden foil wrapping a single Ferrero Rocher. Then comes that sharp, dry snap when your thumb forces open the bright red plastic cap of a sriracha bottle. Or perhaps it is that visceral, face-flushing frustration when the pungent stench of raw garlic stubbornly clings to your fingertips after an afternoon of relentless chopping, refusing to fade even after you have scrubbed your hands with soap for the third time. We go through these motions daily, blindly chewing, swallowing, and consuming the absolute miracles of modern engineering while treating them as the most mundane, cheap, and guaranteed things in the world. You think you are just eating. You think you are in control. But the terrifying truth is that every single drop of flavor you experience has been ruthlessly calculated to manipulate your senses. At Nluvuong, 04 warmly welcomes you to the reality behind the curtain. If this realization sends a chill down your spine and makes you question the very food sitting in your pantry, please hit that subscribe button right now. Your support is the raw fuel that drives this channel to keep exposing these hidden truths in our upcoming videos. For the longest time, I was just as ignorant as the masses. I lived in that same comfortable bubble, foolishly believing that the food in my kitchen cabinets simply existed because I swiped a credit card at the local grocery store. I convinced myself that a $3 bottle of chili sauce was nothing more than a humble blend of peppers, garlic, and vinegar. I thought a hazelnut-filled chocolate sphere was just an innocent treat for kids. But my friends, when you finally rip yourself out of that profound state of oblivion, you will suddenly realize you are standing at the edge of a colossal, invisible matrix. Let us look at that thick, crimson drop of sriracha slowly making its way down a piece of fried chicken on your plate. Zoom in on it. Closer. Deeper still. Stop looking at it as a mere condiment. I want you to see it for what it truly is. A billion-dollar, ironclad contract drawn up between Mother Nature and the relentless, mechanical behemoth of industrial capitalism. From that single, viscous red drop, we are pulling the camera back to reveal a gigantic industrial empire. A hidden realm where life and death decisions are dictated by thousandths of a degree, and where billions of dollars are aggressively poured into machines with one singular purpose: to hack your tongue. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself how in the hell that bottle of hot sauce you bought this afternoon at the corner market tastes exactly, perfectly identical to the one you bought 5 years ago? It shares the exact same vibrant color, the exact same fiery kick, and the exact same consistency. How is this even possible when we know for a fact that the weather changes every single year? There are years of brutal, earth-cracking droughts, and years where relentless floods drown entire harvest fields. How is it that a delicate hazelnut cultivated in the hills of Turkey and raw cacao harvested in West Africa can flawlessly collide inside a golden wrapper that is die-cut to the exact precision of a micrometer? Let me shatter the illusion for you right now. There is absolutely no magic here. There is no culinary fairy tale. Welcome as you step through the heavy steel doors of the most magnificent, deeply terrifying manipulation system in the history of human existence, the industrial food complex. To comprehend the sheer magnitude of this hidden world, we must follow that single, crimson drop of sriracha backward from your dinner plate to the sun-scorched dirt where its violent birth takes place. The journey begins in vast, sprawling agricultural expanses where millions of hybrid red jalapenos are baking under a ruthless summer sun, monitored not just by farmers, but by soil sensors, satellite imagery, and predictive weather algorithms. This is not the romanticized vision of agriculture with overalls and wooden pitchforks. This is a militarized extraction of flavor from the earth. The peppers are left on the vine until the very last possible second, pushing them to an agonizingly precise state of overripeness so their natural sugars peak right before the flesh begins to rot. When the harvest order is given, it triggers an industrial ticking clock that refuses to slow down for anyone. Once those peppers are ripped from the stems, a frantic, logistical ballet begins. They must be transported, washed, and completely crushed into a raw, burning mash within mere hours of leaving the dirt. If a truck breaks down, if a conveyor belt jams, the peppers degrade, the sugar levels drop, and the entire batch is ruined. Standing on the floor of the processing facility, the air is so saturated with capsaicin that it burns your lungs and forces tears from your eyes. Yet the workers and machines push through the stinging fog in perfect rhythm. Giant steel grinding blades pulverize thousands of pounds of peppers a minute, mixing them with a fiercely guarded ratio of salt, garlic, and vinegar. But the true genius, the terrifying mastery of the Sriracha Empire, does not happen in the grinding. It happens in the waiting. The raw mash is pumped into towering, blue plastic barrels that stretch out like an endless, silent ocean across massive warehouses. Here, industrial fermentation takes over. The company relies on living bacteria to eat the sugars and excrete the complex, tangy acids that give the sauce its signature bite. This is where the chaos of nature threatens to destroy the product. How do you control the biological behavior of trillions of microscopic organisms across thousands of barrels, ensuring that the sauce ferments perfectly whether the summer was unusually humid or bitterly dry? The answer lies in relentless, obsessive testing and blending. Master blenders act as the ultimate conductors of this biological orchestra. They do not just bottle one barrel. They strategically mix the fiery young batches with the mellowed older ones, constantly adjusting the liquid geometry to forcefully bend nature's chaotic output into a single, unyielding standard. They are compensating for rain, for drought, for the slight mineral variations in the soil of different farms. Also that when you squeeze that plastic bottle 3 years from now, your tongue registers the exact same chemical symphony. It is a stunning defiance of the natural world, a process that strips away the unpredictability of agriculture and replaces it with cold, hard consistency. You are not tasting a pepper. You are tasting a multi-million-dollar triumph over the very forces of nature, captured and stabilized inside a cheap plastic bottle. While Sriracha represents the brutal taming of nature's chaotic fire, the Ferrero Rocher stands as a hauntingly elegant monument to globalized mechanical precision. Unwrapping that golden foil is not just opening a piece of candy. It is holding a physical manifestation of international trade routes, geopolitical stability, and molecular engineering in the palm of your hand. Think about the sheer logistical insanity required to create just one of these spheres. The hazelnut at the center was likely shaken from a tree on the steep, foggy hillsides of the Black Sea coast in Turkey, where a massive percentage of the world's supply is harvested. The cocoa butter coating it was extracted from pods hacked off trees in the humid, tropical heat of the Ivory Coast or Ghana. The sugar may have been refined from Brazilian cane, and the vanilla synthesized in a high-tech laboratory in Europe. These ingredients, born oceans apart in completely different climates and economies, are loaded onto massive cargo ships, crossing treacherous waters to finally converge in a hyper-sterile, automated facility. It is here that the true mechanical sorcery begins. The creation of a Ferrero Rocher is an exercise in micrometer-level perfection. The roasted hazelnut is encased in a smooth cocoa cream, but it is the wafer that demands your utmost respect. That impossibly thin, spherical biscuit must be baked to an exact structural integrity. If it is a fraction of a millimeter too thick, it ruins the delicate mouthfeel. If it is too thin, it shatters on the assembly line beneath the weight of the warm chocolate curtain that cascades over it. The machines that construct these layers operate with a speed and accuracy that the human eye cannot even process. They align the two delicate wafer hemispheres, injecting the cream and dropping the nut with a synchronized timing that rivals the internal mechanisms of a Swiss watch. Then comes the exterior, a turbulent bath of liquid milk chocolate mixed with precisely chopped hazelnut fragments. The size of those fragments is no accident. They are sorted and sifted so that every single rocher has an identical, rugged topography, ensuring that the chocolate clings to the nuts in the exact same pattern, creating the signature jagged silhouette. Finally, the sphere is swaddled in that iconic golden foil. The machine that folds the aluminum wrapper does not just scrunch it together. It pleats the foil with geometric exactness, securing it onto a fluted paper cup and applying a tiny sticker with absolute, unwavering center alignment. Millions of these spheres are produced daily, and every single one is an identical clone of the last. The logistics required to ensure that a hazelnut from Turkey and cocoa from West Africa arrive in a European factory at the precise moment needed to be fused together, wrapped in gold, and shipped to your local pharmacy without melting or going stale is a miracle of modern capitalism. It is a supply chain so complex and vast that it makes the construction of ancient pyramids look like child's play, all designed to give you a fleeting, 3-second moment of sweetness. But this awe-inspiring orchestration of global agriculture and hyper-advanced machinery would be entirely useless if it did not culminate in the calculated hijacking of your human nervous system. We must now talk about the dark art of neurogastronomy, the invisible science that dictates every craving you have ever felt. When you bite into that chocolate sphere or taste that fiery sauce, you are not experiencing an accident of good cooking. You are stepping into a biological trap that was designed by men in white coats analyzing brain scans and salivary gland responses. They are not chefs. They are behavioral engineers, and their sole objective is to discover and exploit your bliss point. The bliss point is the exact mathematical intersection where salt, sugar, and fat collide to overwhelm your brain's reward center, triggering a massive, euphoric release of dopamine without ever tripping the biological signals that tell your stomach it is full. If a food is too sweet, your brain rejects it. If it is too fatty, you feel nauseous. But if you calibrate the sugar just below the threshold of cloying sweetness, mask it with a sharp hit of sodium, and carry it on a velvety wave of fat that melts at exactly the temperature of the human tongue, the brain short circuits. It registers immense pleasure, but fails to register satiety. It screams at you to take another bite, and another, endlessly chasing a phantom satisfaction that the food was deliberately engineered to withhold. Consider the acoustics of your food. Yes, the sound. The sharp snap of a wafer, the crunch of a hazelnut. These acoustic profiles are rigorously tested in soundproof booths. Food scientists know that a louder, higher-frequency crunch tricks the brain into perceiving the food as fresher and more intensely flavored, amplifying the psychological pleasure of eating. They manipulate the viscosity of sriracha so that it flows at a specific, agonizingly slow speed, building visual anticipation before it hits your tongue. They design the heat of the chili to trigger pain receptors in your mouth, which forces your brain to release endorphins to cope with the burn, creating a literal, mild chemical high that leaves you mildly addicted to the pain. You believe you choose what you want to eat. You think you buy a particular snack because you simply have a taste for it today. The terrifying reality is that your cravings have been pre-programmed by an industry that knows your evolutionary biology better than you do. For hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors scavenged for rare, calorie-dense sources of sugar and fat just to survive the winter. Our brains are hardwired to hoard these elements. The industrial food complex has taken that primal, desperate survival mechanism and weaponized it against us. They have surrounded us with infinitely accessible, perfectly optimized stimuli that our Paleolithic brains cannot resist. You are not making a conscious dietary choice. You are a biological puppet dancing to the chemical strings of a multi-billion-dollar algorithm. Realizing that your very cravings are manufactured leaves you standing in the sterile, fluorescent-lit aisle of your local grocery store with a heavy, life-altering choice. You are suddenly looking at shelves not as pantries of nourishment, but as archives of engineered temptation. The vibrant packaging, the nostalgic typography, the comforting mascots, it all melts away to reveal the cold, calculated matrix beneath. It is a profoundly isolating moment. You cannot unsee the supply chains, the chemical calibrations, the relentless manipulation of your senses. The innocence of eating is gone, replaced by the stark realization that you are the final, targeted endpoint of a massive industrial machine. But this awakening, as terrifying as it feels, is not a curse. It is your ultimate liberation. For the first time in your life, you are no longer a blind consumer blindly shoveling beautifully packaged chemistry into your body. You are awake. You can finally appreciate the absolute, terrifying genius of the industrial food complex without becoming its victim. You can look at a bottle of sriracha and respect the monumental human effort required to tame agricultural chaos, while simultaneously recognizing the boundaries of what you will allow into your own biology. You can admire the micrometer precision of a Ferrero Rocher's golden foil, understanding it as a marvel of engineering rather than an inescapable impulse buy. The goal is not to retreat into the woods and refuse to interact with the modern world. That is an impossible, cynical reaction to a reality we cannot escape. The goal is sovereign awareness. When you feel that sudden, inexplicable urge for something salty, sweet, and crunchy, you will now possess the intellectual armor to pause and ask yourself, is my body actually hungry, or is my brain merely responding to a brilliantly designed sensory trigger? You reclaim your power the moment you insert a wedge of conscious thought between the stimulus and the bite. This is the journey we are on together. We are pulling back the curtain on the things you touch, taste, and use every single day, tearing away the mundane to expose the breathtaking complexity underneath. The world is far darker, far more intricate, and infinitely more fascinating than we were ever taught. If you are ready to keep exploring this matrix, to never look at your pantry, your refrigerator, or your life the same way again, stay with me. The rabbit hole goes much deeper, and we are just getting started. I will see you in the next breakdown. The modern food industry is a staggering testament to human ingenuity and a terrifying exercise in biological manipulation. We have traced the crimson journey of sriracha, witnessing how agriculture is bent to a rigid, multi-million-dollar standard to defy the chaos of nature, replacing unpredictability with cold, hard consistency. We have unwrapped the golden sphere of the Ferrero Rocher, revealing an unfathomable global supply chain and mechanical sorcery designed to deliver just a fleeting moment of sweetness. But the true revelation lies not in the towering warehouses or on the cargo ships. It lies within your own mind. The realization that our deepest cravings are mathematically engineered by behavioral scientists to hijack our evolutionary survival mechanisms strips away the illusion of free choice in the grocery aisle. Every crunch, every perfectly formulated wave of fat and salt is designed to hit a bliss point that triggers desire while withholding satisfaction. Yet, this truth is not meant to breed despair. It is meant to arm you with the ultimate weapon, awareness. By understanding the invisible matrix of neurogastronomy, you transform from a passive target of industrial optimization into a conscious sovereign of your own biology. The beautifully packaged chemistry that surrounds us is no longer an invisible trap, but a marvel of human engineering that you can now navigate with clear eyes and deliberate intent. True freedom does not come from isolating yourself from the modern world, but from understanding the invisible systems designed to influence you. When you recognize that your daily environment, right down to the food you eat, is meticulously engineered to exploit your primal instincts, you reclaim the power of choice. Sovereign awareness is the only antidote to invisible manipulation. Implement the conscious pause into your daily routine. The next time you feel a sudden, intense craving for a processed snack, or find yourself automatically reaching for a brightly packaged item in the checkout lane, stop for just 3 seconds. Ask yourself, am I actually experiencing physical hunger, or is my brain merely responding to a brilliantly designed synthetic trigger? Look at the product not as food, but as a calculated formula. By inserting a brief moment of deliberate, analytical thought between a craving and a bite, you short-circuit the behavioral loop. You stop being a biological puppet and start making sovereign decisions about what enters your body. What is one specific snack or food you used to crave constantly that you now realize was perfectly engineered to hack your bliss point? Please drop your answer in the comments below. I would love to read your perspective, and it is a great way for our community to learn from each other's experiences. If this breakdown changed the way you look at the world, please hit that subscribe button to support the channel. Your support gives me the motivation to keep diving down the rabbit hole and bringing you more mind-bending content. See you in the next one.